Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, since everybody has to stay indoors a lot nowadays, here's a good indoor activity. I have this old Yale, and I'm going to try to make a key for it. So the first thing is to figure out how this is retained, and it's one of those that's got a plate. So the first thing you have to do is unlock it. If you already don't have it locked up, unlocked, the first thing you've got to do is unlock it. So let's see if we can worm this guy open. Reset. That chain rattling's driving me nuts. There we go. Who rattled your chain? Yale rattled my chain. Alright, so maybe we'll have to single pin pick this guy. Oops. While the shackle, was already open, I raked it just to see if I could do it, so I know it's possible. Right. You will rake open. Ow! I guess not. Let me pause this and get a single pin pick it. Wants to be stubborn. Really is being stubborn. Alright, you. Try raking them again. There we go. I don't know why you didn't do that in the first place. Alright, so you get your padlock open, right? But you don't have a key. Now, on old padlocks like Yale's, somebody was selling a bunch of old Yale keys, and these you can go as much as an individual padlock per key. So I tried all these, and none of them worked. Well, the same person that I got that from threw in some of these blanks, and this one is a C20R, and it fits the keyway. Now, we can't do it, we can't fit the key in here when it's already picked, but because the shackle's open, we can close this up. This gives room for the drivers somewhere to go, the key pins and stuff. And this guy goes all the way in. Thing is, the shoulder doesn't quite hit there, but it goes all the way in, so that won't be any problem, I think, for us. Anyway, there's a little plate right here. It's really hard to see, but there's a full plate instead of the individual pins. So what I do is I get this open, and then I go through here, and I punch it out. So let me try to do that right now. Alright, I got my weapons. This is a good one because he's already been broken from me prying and crap on it. So let's put him in like that. And then I get a little tack hammer, or a little hammer. I just start, whoops. Sorry. All right, I'm getting a little raise up on the thing, so we'll continue this. A round punch, you know, or something like that would be better, that fits it, but I'm mostly about improvising because I usually don't have the correct tool. I have to make something else for it. All right, I'm feeling a little bit up here. The problem with this is, you know, you can get this up, it'll kind of curl it, but when you go to put it back in, it's just flatten it out again. It's brass. It's malleable. All right. We'll keep banging away here. Oh, there we go. See that? He really bowed up real well right there now. Now, when you get to that point, you can just take a small screwdriver, if he'll fit in there. Yes, and lift him up. We're doing a little prying here. You can go on one side or the other. We're going to go on this side. Seems to be working well. We'll go up here too. Do a little prying. There we go. Now remember, these are going to be under spring pressure when you do this. So you don't want to go all the way through because you might jab some of your springs in there. And when this plate comes off, those springs will be free. You know what that means. Alright. We'll just prime. Ew, there we go. Now, the reason why I have my finger on there is because bing. Alright. So here we go. Let me pause this and get a pinning tray. Right. Anytime you need a pinning tray, you probably also need a follower, and you probably also need tweezers. So, in this case, we won't need a follower because this one has a core retaining pin right here. Nope, that looks like a key pin and a wafer and a driver. Look at those springs, how it's highly coiled on one end and then thinned out on the other. Alright, well, we're learning something. It looks like 6 pins, but maybe that guy is oh, get up there. You were supposed to be on that tray. No commingling. Springs are not allowed to commingle. You two will get to mating and not want to separate, so stop that. I know you've waited all your life to get to that other chamber, but tough. With a wafer. Okay, so it looks like this guy was master keyed. That says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's a 6-pinner. Unless that guy's a core retainer. I think he is. We're about to find out. Once we dump all this out, if the core comes out. I don't know how they did that. Uh-oh. How come we didn't have a master wave? Are you hiding in there? No. Alright. Try the next one. Oh, quit mingling. You guys. Stop it. Co-mingling. No co-mingling allowed. Right. So far, just standard pins and standard drivers. Nothing special. Uh-oh. I just did something odd. Oh, I commingled on purpose. Oh, wait. See? See? They're mating. I told them. You stop that. This is a PG affair here. We don't want to be X-rated. All right. And oh, look, he's got a little... Oh, I was going to say he's got a little serration. No, that's a wafer sitting on top of him. A master wafer. So, we have master wafers in every, well, not every chamber, but most of them. Nobody else in there. Let's see if the core wants to come out now. Do you want to come out now? No. So, I don't think, look at that right there. I believe that's our core retainer. See that little one? Uh-oh, we have issues now. I'm going to have to drill that guy out. Sorry you couldn't see him. See right there? I think that's a core retaining pin. Yep, I don't see anything else. I don't see any. I've taken these apart, but I don't remember having to deal with this. Maybe this is a newer model or a bigger model, or who knows. Anyways, I got to get that thing out now. Well, as always, things don't always go as planned. That was a core retaining pin, but man, I had to drill the crap out of it to get it to come out. Anyway, we got that crap out of the way. I made that hole a little bit larger than it should be, but oh well. And now we got our plug to come out. There we go. Our actuator, oops. Actuator spring down there. And there's one connector and one big long rod. So it looks like this guy's going to work as far as a key for it. I messed this up. I was going like this to try to bang it down, and I banged. That plate's going to have a hard time going in until I knock that brass back. But now all we got to do is cut a key for this. It goes all the way in. Huh, there's a little plate right here. And this guy's held on in by that. I don't want to take that little plate out. I just looking at it. Wow, you know, I guess it'll work. The bitting is going to be, oh yeah, I guess it does cut in that angle there. It's weird. Oh, that's why it's not going all the way forward. There's gunk. There's gunk in the end of the lock here. It prevents, this is the right key. There it goes. See, it goes all the way to the shoulder now. It's a good thing I did that, because I would have cut it. I would have cut it without that, thinking that this is just a close key. But no, this is the real key. It goes all the way up. See how you want to have the shoulder flush. Oh, sorry, I'm all the way off camera doing this. What an idiot. I had it zoomed in too. Now, before when I was pushing this key in, let me steady this guy. Before when I was pushing the key in, it would only go up to like right here. And if I cut it like that, that would have been a problem. But it actually goes all the way forward. There's just some gunk in there. So I'm going to hit that with some brake cleaner and see if I can't clean that out a little bit. Whew! Them fumes. Them fumes. Alright, so we got that. Usually what I try to do is I try to find a pre-cut key for a particular lock that I've got. And then I just match the bitting up to that. That saves you a lot of time and hassle because if you've got to cut your own pins, all of these are going to need to be cut, because all these look like deep depths here. Oh, that one actually, he almost sits there. I think he's just a little bit too low. Sometimes you can play musical pins. It's too high. So we got this little master wafer. We can take that one that was too low, like this guy right here, and see if we can't drop. I think this master wafer's too tall. It's too thick. And he doesn't want to come out of here. Get out of there. Nope, he's definitely too thick. All right. Well, that's probably correct. It's not too recessed. I think that'll be all right for pin 5. There, we got one keyed up already. Didn't have to cut the lock at all. Now let me go get me and my leashy. Yeah. So what I did was I put the blank in here, made sure it was all the way in, made little marks with my my safety pin, and then took my leashy and tried to do like 0 cuts or 1 cuts, and then put it back in the chamber and check to make sure I was centered, basically trying to get centered. And from now on, it's pretty much, that's as far as the leash is going to be able to go on this guy because of all these corrugations. You can see how wiggly and waffly that thing is, but this guy works better with a flat surface. When you start getting, excuse me, when you start getting unusual corrugations like that, it's good just to start, just to give you the indication. And then, excuse me, the rest of this is going to be with a file. So, there we go. Still working on it. Getting around to eventually making this key work. Alright, so this is what we've got. Basically because I'm not a locksmith, and this is not, these things don't have to be standard. So, what I did was I took the pin diameters on these, I think it's like 3.31 millimeter. Let me get this. Pin 1 out is a regular standard 3 millimeter size pin diameter. And it's a little bit smaller in the chamber, but that'll work. It's a little bit undersized. See, it's like 2.8. And the standard pins in here are, I think it's 3.13 or 3.33. Let's see. Yeah, 3.21, 3.23. So you can drop a smaller one in here, and the key pin will wiggle around a little bit, but it's not going to bind up, and the driver's going to sit on top of it perfectly. So that's what I did for pin 1, and I got tired of filing and messing around, so I did kind of the same thing on pin 5, but I made it like a T-pin, because, I mean, this is the way that pin was already, where'd you go? This is the way the pin was already like double-ended. Like it could be a key pin or a driver. So that's what I'm going to use for slot 6. Right? Oh, and like I said, I did some cuts on the keys, but then I took my flat file, and I pulled the key back a little bit so it would raise them up, and I just started filing, and then I'd push the key back in, and then I'd check them, and on one of them I left a wafer in there. I filed just the top of the wafer on there on pin 4. So that's what we got going here. Is and they all feel fairly flush, so it's just a matter of reassembling now after this. But I had to take a break. Basically, when I did all the other stuff before was one day, and then today was another day of just like half a day. I'd file on this thing for a little bit, and then I'd take a break, come back and file some more. And now, once you get to this point, you're not done, because then you want to try to pull the key out. And you see, I can't pull the key out. So I have to slope the all the cuts that I've done. I've got to make them sloped so that there's an angle. Normally, when it does like a V type of cut on the key, and that's so that as the key's coming in, it'll have a ramp that it can go to, and as it's going out, it'll have a ramp. But if you've got them kind of straight, then it's almost like a key blocker, you know. Well, it is a key blocker, because when you go to pull it, there's no ramp for it to go against. And if the other ones are acting that way, you're not going to get your key out. So if you think you're done when you've got all your pins filed flat, you're not done. Not on a hand-filed key. So here's what I mean by the taking the slopes off. See how those are just straight up and down? I can basically just take this whole centerpiece off if I want, and I might do that. Just knock those tips off there. And then we'll see if the key will go in and out easily. Alright, so once I made sure that the key would go in and out, I loaded it all up with the pins in here, and then I tried to insert it into the plug, and I would meet resistance, like right here. I'd start meeting resistance, and it would be really tight. You know, I couldn't turn it. And so I looked at these pins, and I was filing them like, what the heck? And then, be sure you do this, if you ever do this. Put your finger all the way over the key pins, and don't let go. This back part right here was raised up a little bit, so I had to file that. Once I filed that down, it goes in there easily now. So that's one thing you test too, is before you try to reassemble it. Well, you're going to find out when you try to put the plug back in. If it won't go in, it's probably either a pin is too high, or in this case, it was just a little back angle, just this part forward. Just needed a little bit of filing. So now it goes in, it turns smoothly as much as we need. So really my only problem, and that's not going to be that big of a problem, is I drilled the crap out of the core retainer, but it'll still fit in there. It'll still go in, and all I got to do is just make a little cap for that, or try to find a cap that I can put over this spot right here. But the next thing to do is to load up the drivers. And since all these drivers are pretty much the same, we'll just drop them in each stack here. And we'll see if the key will extract. Let's see. With if it'll operate, basically. Ow, let me get over here, you. I think I'm on pin 5. Get in there, you. Oh, and you're not doing a real repin unless you drop a key. I mean a pin on the floor at least once. And of course I did that. I didn't have my bubble wrap with me, so I spent some time digging around. All right. Seems to work. Oh, this is going to be the hard part. Getting this key. I still need to work on this key, I guess. See, you go a little ways and then you stop, and you go a little ways and you fiddle with it. It can be really a couple of day project. With all the pins dropped in here and everything, and the drivers and everything, I went to turn it and it wouldn't turn. It turns out it was this guy. It wasn't completely flat, and so I had to take it out and file it and everything, and now now it turns when it's in there, and it holds the core. So yeah, you could just keep running into one thing after another, and then eventually it all goes back together. But it can be a quite involved project. Anyway, I'm down to the very last part of it. I'm going to reassemble all the pins and everything, and then I've got to try to make this plate fit back on there, which we can see. This was the top part. It looked like they had a reinforced plug up here, but I'm going to have to get that to fit back on here. And when I was banging pins out, like I said, one time I hit right here, and this is brass. And now it doesn't fit perfectly anymore, so I'm going to have to round out the metal here a little bit. I tried kind of chiseling on it with a screwdriver to push the stuff back, but yeah, that'll have to go back on. Yeah, but we're almost there. All that for a key. All that for a key. My kingdom for a key. And there we have it. The finished product. Well, it's not completely finished. As far as the finish of this, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I took some rubbing alcohol to this. Now, this is basically a built-in stain. This part I'll explain. I had to hammer that down. I haven't sandpapered it yet. See all these little scratches and stuff in here, and these major dings? Pretty much going to leave that. I'm going to leave it like it is, because when if I got one that's really gunked up and everything, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a really fine grain to this brass, and I like to, if I take it off, I like to try to match that grain, and you got to have the right grit of sandpaper, and you got to have a good steady hand to do that. And for me, this is an older lock, but the good thing is I've got it all back together. The key goes in perfectly fine, works the lock perfectly fine, extracts, goes in, closes, real smooth. When you pry this off, it's going to be bent, and when you try to line it back up, like I said, I smacked the padlock when I was trying to get some pins out. I smacked it like that, and this is brass, it's soft, but it's malleable. So what that means is it can bend without breaking. So in order for this to fit just right, you have to arch it. You have to kind of like bow it. And then these little springs are sitting here. So you take a little a pick, and well, this is a tension wrench, but you take a pick, and while it's bowed up, you align the pin stacks, I mean the coils of the spring and the pin stacks, so that they're going straight up and down and not at an angle. And then you start smacking away, beating it away with a hammer. And I didn't worry about like beating it too much, because when it sands up, that's all going to go away. I'm going to sand this part of it, finish this part. And depending on how that does and how well it matches it, will depend on whether or not I mess around with this side too. But I think I'm going to leave it like it is, because you can also see that at one time it was attached to something blue. It was attached to something blue. So I'm going to leave that history there. If I clean that off, that would lose it and everything. But what's cool, this has been a great pandemic project because when you're in lockdown and you've got to hand file a key and put one together, so it's very satisfying to have a Yale key, a genuine Yale key. It's got this kind of like stain on it also. I'm going to leave all that there, you know, like I said, because it works. And that's my final bitting there. Doesn't look like much, but this is like one of the deepest cuts right here. But it goes in really easily, turns it. Alright, so you can single pin pick this thing, but one thing it really likes is it likes a rake, but it likes to be raked a certain way. This one really responds well to the jiggle. See that? It likes the jiggle. It likes the jiggle. So there you go. Nice little project. Like I said, I'm gonna sandpaper this off, and I'll just put a final picture, you know, of the finished product in there. But I don't mind it that it's all kind of like beating this up. But I want to join the seams together so that it's harder to detect, you know, that this was a plate there. But anyway, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this. And these things weigh about 0.87 pounds. So it's almost a full pound. Pretty cool little lock, or heavy lock anyway. Thank you for watching, and happy picking, everyone. I also thought this is World War V. World War V for virus. So, thank you for watching. Don't go crazy, and pick your locks. Don't pick your nose. Alright, so this is what we got as a finished product. What I used was, I started off with 320 grit sandpaper cloth, but a while back I got this foam sanding block, and man, that was just the right thing, because you can get up here and you kind of do like a shoe polish, you know, just go back and forth like that, and it's not gonna get, I mean, you could see where the seam was at before, and when you're hammering, the less you get crazy and carried away with your hammering, the better it'll turn out in the end. But my main thing is just the feel. Can you feel the seam? No. You know. And matching the grain and everything, this is not too bad, but I'm not going to do the whole lock. I'm not even going to do this side. I hit this a little bit because it's got a little bit. Let's do some of it. Just smooth it out just a little bit. It's like shining a shoe or polishing a shoe. You kind of want to go with the grain. But it turns out really well. I'm really happy with this. It gave me something to do. And got a sense of accomplishment. A lot of little problems and issues along the way, but the finished product is very satisfying. So, thank you for watching, and happy key making, everyone.